Can you hear me? Oh. We'll be getting started momentarily, so please take your seats, and we'll get started in a second.
So, you know how to zoom, right? It doesn't zoom in that much. This is max zoom right here. So just like track them with that. And then if you're gonna get a wide shot, you can obviously spin that. But probably just stay on max zoom and just like track with that.
And then when they change the slides, I'm gonna like look at the slides.
You can if you want to. I mean, get whatever the vibe. We'll have the slides later and I can edit those in post. So don't worry too much about it. Is it recording?
Yeah, it's recording. Oh, the one like when the people. Okay. Yeah. I see. This is like nice music. Good.
There you go.
The illumination.
That's good.
I don't know how you even remembered that video.
What?
That video. I don't know how you remembered about it.
I don't know. It's almost put it.
You look a little dark over by the podium though, Amaya. So maybe if you want to.
I look dark by the podium.
Yeah.
Can you guys
a
see?
little bit into the
You
light.
sitting here? All right. Cool. I might just stand and talk about it.
I would sit down.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Oh, why?
Just what they can't see, and then they're gonna be like, oh, I think they're gonna get up.
Yeah. Okay.
Just sit down here.
So, yeah.
Here you go.
Please enjoy this little intro video.
I'll applaud that.
Very cute.
I hope you enjoyed that. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for coming out to TEDx Pitt's annual conference. My name is Amaya Anand, and I am the president of the TEDx Pitt student organization. We're so excited to bring you 3 wonderful speakers that also so happen to be your fellow students. So feel free to see who they are and in what order they're in, etc. on the brochure QR codes that were on those little flyers that were on your seats. So to kind of give a general overview how today is going to work, each speaker will speak for around 15 minutes and will be followed by 5 to 10 minutes of intermission. So we hope that you use that intermission time to eat some of the food and the drinks that we have at the back. So please keep in mind that there are a few TEDx regulations that we have to go over. First, we cannot have any Q&A or speaking from the audience during, right before, or right after the speaker's talks. We ask that if you must leave the room throughout the event, that you do so in between the speaker's talks, as we will be recording them, as you see by the cameras, and only the official cameras, And so it would be hard to do that with like background noise and such. Speaking of recording, bearing TEDx regulations, the only cameras that are allowed to record anything for this entire event are those 2 cameras on the tripods. While you can take pictures and such, with no flash, please, we ask that there is no recording allowed at this conference, so please do not record on any devices. If you have any questions or concerns, our committee members will be around the area at the back of the room. They have the black TEDx Pit t-shirts on them, so that way you can identify them in between the talks and such. Additionally, I would like to mention that by attending this event, those of you who are participating in Honors OCC are eligible to receive 20 points of OCC credits. Please search for the TEDx Spring Conference Illumination event on your suitable app, and then you will need to write like a little tiny reflection before like 2 minutes in order to be approved for the OCC credit, but it won't take long, I promise. So without further ado, welcome to Illumination, and we would like to introduce our first speaker. Her name is Cavanaugh. So Catherine will be presenting Now You're Speaking My Language, the Need for Linguistic Advocacy in Schools. A little bit about Catherine. Catherine is a freshman neuroscience major and psychology dual major at the University of Pittsburgh, and she's also the 2021 United States Presidential Scholar. Passionate about English language education, Catherine has been an ELL, or English Language Learner student, English Language Learner advocate, tutor, and teacher for the past 5 years. She has also founded the Spanish Translation Project, which is an initiative to translate the Pennsylvania Common Core Biology, Chemistry, and Health curricula. So without further ado, please give a round of applause for Catherine.
So I'd like everyone to close your eyes. Imagine that you're on a trip to Mars, right? The world looks a little bit different. You meet these new people and they don't speak your language or understand your culture. It's difficult and it's different. It's a hard experience. And sometimes all that you want to do is just fly home. Now, that was an analogy that was said to me by a student, Sebastian, who I had worked with early into my ELL tutoring days. Sebastian had moved from Puerto Rico to Pennsylvania, and it was a difficult transition for him. This isn't just a story of Sebastian, this is a story of so many ELL students. But I would like to preface this with the fact that I am not an ELL student. I am an advocate, I am a tutor, and I am the founder of the Spanish Translation Project, a nonprofit website that was built to help English language learners, ELL, understand Common Core, biology, chemistry, and health. So, something I get asked pretty often is, who are these ELL students? Well, it's kind of difficult because they're not all one thing. So, up here you see that about 3/4 of them happen to speak Spanish, but up in the next greatest population, you have students who are speaking Arabic and students who are speaking Chinese. And what ends up happening in a lot of different school systems is that as an ELL aide, you need people who are speaking all of these different languages in order to be the support staff for these students. So, what you have sometimes is students who are speaking a language that is perhaps less populated, maybe even down here. They don't have all of the staff who can speak this language and translate for them. I worked with a young man who spoke Nahuatl, and there were no staff members who understood a single word of Nahuatl. It's an indigenous Aztec language, and it's difficult to find someone who can do that. There are also so many students who speak certain languages, let's say a lot of students who are speaking Spanish, that it can be so difficult to have enough team members. You definitely want to allow for each student who speaks a different language to have a staff member, but sometimes you're at a ratio of 15 to 1, and it's difficult to give these students the necessary support. But what I think is really important is taking a look at this figure. Now, what this figure shows is that in early education, so primary years, kindergarten, grades 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, you have incredibly high rates of ELL students. And there are a couple of reasons for that. So one of them might be you grew up in the United States, but your parents spoke another language. They had a mother tongue. That's the way that it worked for my grandfather. His parents spoke Italian, and by the time that he got to school, he was like, wait, what are these other kids saying? I'm a little confused right now. This isn't what I grew up with. But you also have some families who have moved to the United States so that their children can get an American education, so they can be provided with equal opportunity. But what I'd like to point to is the fact that down here, in grade 12, it's at about 5% of ELL students. Now, some of it is students who are younger and work out of the ELL system, so they've gained fluency and proficiency in the English language. But in 2018, 91% of students who graduated high school were English as a first language. So, as opposed to 68% of the ELL students who were able to achieve that high school diploma. There's a 23% gap. So what happened in that 23% gap? Where are these students going? Well, sometimes it's students like Sebastian who are spending time with their family taking care of their younger siblings, who are working 1 or 2 jobs right after school to make sure that their families can be supported. And trying to translate your homework and understand your classes for 3 up to 4 hours a night sometimes is just unfeasible. So these students many times end up dropping out of the system. But in 1974, the Equal Education Opportunity Act was signed into law that mandated that every school have an English language learning program. It afforded students who spoke any language an opportunity to learn at American schools and be taught English as well as all of the core content areas. So anything in STEM, your history courses, and of course your English literature. But the way that it works now is of course a little bit different, and it varies based on what school you're in, what state you're in, what district you're in. What ends up happening is that the federal government is allotted a certain amount of money for students to use. So the federal government is then able to bring it down to the states. Each state gets a different amount of ELL funding because there isn't the same number of ELL students in every state. It definitely changes. So then the states get a certain amount of money that goes down to the district. And the states can decide how much money each district gets. So it's difficult when not everyone is getting the same resources in some areas who are heavily saturated with ELL students and have a need for these resources don't get all of what they're asking for. But there are classroom teachers and organizations who are trying to work through this. Your general education classroom teacher is teaching to about 30 or so students in a classroom, and that teacher is, let's say, working with about 28 to 29 students who are not ELL students. They're trying to help as many students learn as possible, and it's understandable that we want the masses to get the best education they can. That's what the system is about, educating everybody. But what can be difficult is that ELL students sitting in that classroom, hearing this content taught in a different language, a language they don't know, receiving directions in that language, and then having to take that home with them and move forward not understanding the assignment that they need to do. And in terms of ELL support staff, these aides are working so hard, but there isn't always enough in terms of resources to provide one aide per student, so that aide might not be in the classroom. the contact between the general education teacher and the ELL aide varies so broadly based on who these aides are, who these teachers are, how they operate, and what school system they're in. There are groups like the ACS, the American Chemical Society, who understand that content areas like biology, chemistry, and health, with their very specific vocabulary terms, are the areas that have the highest failure rates for ELL students. And these areas are mandated to receive a high school diploma in many states, exactly like in Pennsylvania, so it can make it very difficult for these students to be able to get all that they need to graduate. So some people say, let's just throw some money at it, right? The issue is, we're not getting the money that we need, and we need some more. Well, that doesn't always work. So what ends up happening is, when we try that, we don't get exactly what we want. ELL funding can go into any resource that is going to enrich these students academically, but not every student is always able to take advantage of that enrichment and use it for the betterment of themselves, because sometimes these enrichment opportunities come after school when they have another obligation. They have something that they have to do for their family or for work. It makes it difficult to be able to do everything necessary. There were instances in the school system when, as an advocate, I'd asked, we would like $212 for one reference textbook. And the school said, we just don't have the money. And there are so many schools that don't have that money, or they place that money elsewhere, that it makes it difficult to give these students everything that they need to learn. So it was about March of 2020, and I was getting a lot of commentary from students. I was asked, hey, we're home, this is a different landscape, I don't understand this. And it's really hard, because now with the pandemic, I'm with my family full time, or I'm trying to pick up more hours at work and people are getting laid off. What can I do? So even though during the school day I was giving my lunch periods and my study halls to helping these ELL students, I'm only one person, and I can only help one person at a time. But what we need to do moving forward is have free access to different enrichment abilities where students can log on at any time they need, like the Spanish Translation Project, and view any content that they are going to need to help them. That they can get free tutoring services to help them out when they want to ask a question or quick question and response programs. All that they have to do, all of the instructions are in Spanish, all the content is in Spanish to teach them the common core of what they need to succeed. All that they have to do is just log on and click a couple of buttons, and they get free content that they can use. And it's not just for the students. It's for the teachers who want to be able to understand this for these kids. The aides who haven't seen this content in 20 to 30 years since they were in the high school themselves. And it's for anyone who's looking to understand all of these content areas in greater depth in Spanish, maybe just for fun. This project is used in over 18 countries and 20 different states in the United States. It's predominantly taken effect in Pennsylvania. And what we see from this map is the fact that Pennsylvania has one of the lower population densities for English language learning students. So why is that? Well, part of it is the project was homegrown in Pennsylvania. But why should it matter that it's impacting these students? Every student, no matter what the population density of each state, should have the ability to learn, should have the right and the access to this content, because this is their American school system. So a big part of why I decided to get involved and create this project was a family member of mine named Dolores, and unfortunately she passed away from complications due to COVID last year, but Dolores came from Nicaragua when she was 19 years old, and she wanted to have a better life in America. Just like Sebastian, it was very difficult And there were so many times that she missed home, and she still called back and would tell me all about her life back home, the family, the food, the parties, that she missed everyone there. But she came to the United States because she wanted this educational opportunity for her family. She wanted people who she loved to be able to do better, to have more. And even though she didn't have a daughter yet, by the time that she did have a daughter in the United States, she was taking several buses to work each day to work as a beautician. She was getting licensed, and she was always telling her daughter that the most important thing you can do is school. The most important thing you can do is learn. And today her daughter is a registered nurse in the state of New York, and her brilliant, beautiful grandson just won New York State Geography B. He qualified for nationals and internationals, and that's all because her and her children and her grandchildren were afforded the opportunity for education in America. Because education is illumination. It shows you the passion that you can have. It teaches you all about different things you never would have known before, how you can serve others and others will help you. Education is the greatest equalizer that we have. One of the best ways for people to accrue wealth and security, to find love in what they're doing. And there are students who are able to find these resources that we have now that were so different from before. Students like Sebastian, who are able to use free resources that are so uncommon because so many of them are paid. And these students might not always have the money to do this. Students like Sebastian, who can find these things, who graduated high school, is now currently living in an apartment with a job, with his wonderful girlfriend, and attending classes at the local community college, trying to receive a business degree. There are opportunities for these people, and if Sebastian and Dolores are the beginning of the story, then my aunt and my wonderful cousin are the final loop, because no one should be shut out of education simply because of the language they speak, especially not in America. If education is illumination, then we should not shut anyone out and have their light be dimmed. Thank you very much.
This is live. All right. Thank you so much, Catherine. That was a really incredible talk. What a great way to illuminate us on the topic of English language learning. We will now be taking a short intermission while we get our mic set up for our next speaker. Please feel free to go to the restroom or get refreshments during this time. We'll probably give it around a little under 10 minutes. So, thank you.